Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, and my co-host and very good friend is Dave.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Married at First Sight Australia, Season 12, Episodes 1 through to 4, or Week 1, Chris. Now, Chris, where would you like to start today?
Well, Dave, we know we're behind. Anyone who's in Australia, we have a lot of people listening for Australia. So thanks for your patience, guys. Everyone's like, I can't wait for Chris and Dave to get on this. And, you know, you go into it a bit skeptical. You're like, is it going to be as good? Am I going to be fucking tired of it all? I tell you what, Dave, I'm not tired of this format. Even Sam's going, I'm not watching this. You know, on the first episode, it's like, and it's on for a long time. The first week, especially with the weddings, they are an hour and a half slog. That's after adverts. They're long episodes. My tip is to actually record it, and then if you do want to fast forward any of the bollocks, you get on it. But we watched it in its entirety every night. I'm in, Dave, straight away. I'm sorry, I'm in. They're a bunch of absolute bellends. And when I say a bunch, Dave, at the moment, every single man is a complete cock, pretty much, bar maybe one or two. There's some absolute knobheads in this one. And straight away, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to speak to Dave about this. So, yeah, we're here again. It's MAFS. It's absolute car crash TV. But, Dave, what are we saying about this? Because I really need to speak about the fucking expert straight away. But before we do, let's just say, what do you think of the first week? Are you in or out yet?
Oh, I'm in. I'm definitely in. It's not my favourite week with MAFS because you see all the weddings. You know, you get through all of the experts overlaying their opinions on why this will make a great couple, but you know, you can tell straight away some of the couples are just, they've just taken names in a hat and thrown them down the stairs, and then the order that they fall in, you know, those will do for the couples, you know, and it's all this idea of the science putting them together is sort of bullshit. You know, back in season 1, that might have been the idea, but it's just become this drama-filled car crash TV that we absolutely love. And I still think, you know, a lot of this week, it wasn't fantastic, but you just have to get through it, don't you? But you can see already the seeds of what is to come. I mean, you say almost every bloke. I do think, you know, there are some blokes in there who aren't truly terrible. But I would agree, the majority are. And I've tried to avoid all spoilers, but I have seen the odd comment here and there about how the men are, you know, ridiculous in this season. And I'm like, I'm watching this first season and I'm thinking to myself, yep, I can see where this is coming from. So, yeah, I'm definitely in. But again, the first week is kind of out of the way now. And I'm looking to get properly into the drama from here.
Yeah, and you hit the nail there, Dave. What I was going to say, because you know about them throwing them down the stairs, the couple's pictures, and this is them. There is no fucking science to any of this show, because some of the couples have even said, like, you know, this person. So they just go, I'll tell you what, let's put them together. No problem. You know what it's like, Dave? And this is going to be one of the craziest analogies I've ever used. And I've just been thinking about this. So you're probably going to go, that is pathetic. But it's like having 4 fans of TV shows. So you've got, like a franchise. So you've got 2 Trekkies, a man and a woman. And then you've got 2 Star Wars fans, man and a woman. But the judges go, I'll tell you what, let's put the Trekkie and the Star Wars fan together. Because, you know, they absolutely hate each other, but, you know, that we may be able to see a breakthrough, not put like the Trekkie and the Star Wars fans together, because they're going to have something massive in common. I can't believe I'm using this as an analogy, but you understand what I mean. It's like, it's bollocks. No more so than Eliot and Lauren. He wants the 1950s values, Dave. He wants all this fucking thingy. But then again, like I always go back to Morag from the UK first season that we covered, and she thought it was
ordered.
Yeah, exactly. It's a mail order. But she thinks she's on fucking Amazon Prime or something. It's the next day delivery. Alex wants a 20. He wants someone with values, someone with all values, but she's got to be 20, stunning, younger than, younger, all these things. And I'm like, you're an absolute walking contradiction. Perfect for this show, but what a dick he is, Dave. The bellend, he isn't even the bellend of the week, but he started off strong to get my award in the first couple of episodes. But what a dick he is.
I do not understand this thing about the 1950s, Chris, because it's actually quite popular, even outside of MAFS, right? And people go back to these 1950s values, and I'm thinking, well, is this the idea that's from media, like from TV, this whole nuclear family thing? Because in the 50s, I imagine, certainly in the UK, still reeling from the fucking Second World War finishing in 1945. Things like measles, polio, tuberculosis, whooping cough were all fucking syphilis was still fucking rampant in the 1950s. Oh, yeah, let's fucking go back to the 1950s. Groovy. I think you lot are fucking mental. You've got weird. It's this very... I think what they mean when they say that is, I want to go back to the Disney version of the 1950s. So I don't know. It just, whenever I hear that, I'm just like, oh, you got no fucking idea. But I mean... Man alive, if they were an actual serious show, I mean, Eliot would not get anywhere near the show in the first place, would he? He'd just be like, oh, you are a car crash waiting to happen. As opposed to on this is the perfect show where they go, oh, yeah, you are a car crash waiting to happen. Let's get you in here, son. Let's get you in here. So, he's going to be a fucking nightmare. And that's a really great comparison actually with Morag, because I feel like Morag was probably more toned down in that respect. He's got a fucking 100-point list of things that of boxes that need to be ticked. But the big one, I think, which obviously not going to work, is just the age. I just think the idea that he's got. I think unfortunately, Lauren's age is going to play into it, and I think that's what's going on there. But Chris, what do you reckon to Lauren's sister? I mean, initially, I'm thinking, okay, this is just a bit of sibling rivalry. She can't be that bad. But at the wedding, I was like, fucking hell. I mean, again, I'm sure the producers are poking them in the ribs to make sure she's misbehaving. But fuck, what a bell end.
100%. It was like she realised that she was the one who should have applied for MAFS and then wanted to steal the limelight. But I mean, that guy she was thirsty for, right, he wasn't ugly, but she was absolute. And then even at one point, Alex, even Eliot's like, oh, fucking Alex. Like, Eliot is the one where he used to come from. Eliot actually is like, do you want me to move? Because it was weird, Dave. It was like someone had slipped fucking, if there is such a female version of, say, Viagra, because she was fucking thirsty for this guy, wasn't she? She absolutely wanted to rip his fucking clothes off. And I'm like, what's going on? And it felt then, after a bit of this, and I'm like, this is a bit bizarre. It did feel as if like she was like, actually, I want to be the main character. I want to create a story in MAFS. It felt like that, like she, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see her on the next series, if I'm being honest, Dave. I mean, the way it's going, she might end up on this series, but I do honestly think that it was just bizarre. It was so, and that guy was so uncomfortable, wasn't he? He was just like, oh, yeah. And she's like, yeah, so what do you do that? And then it just went on. And she must have fired about 20 questions at him. And every question made him feel more and more uncomfortable. So it was, again, great TV. But what a really strange, absurd way to frame it. Because we've seen in MAFS, haven't we? When we saw Harrison and Bronte, and straight away that girl pulled Bronte, didn't she? And she's like, yeah, that guy there, he's bad news, a gaslight and all this. And we were like, oh, here we go. But it was a bit set up with this. I don't know what was going on. Is she like that all the time? Because I can't imagine that her and her sister, her and Lauren, have a great relationship if she's acting like that all the time. Whenever she's around guys or whatever, she feels as if like she has, like you said, she has to be the main character. It was very strange that. But again, it was all building blocks for me this week, Dave, going, oh,
Yeah.
this is glorious. Glorious.
I do think it was her audition for next season's MAFS or something else. She was definitely trying to be the main character. I was just scratching my head thinking, they obviously don't have the greatest, most positive and supportive relationship, but I don't know. I was thinking, Christ, if she is like that all the time, and Lauren seems very kind of prim and proper, and like I say, has this idea that she wants to be this 1950s housewife with polio or whatever, and then I don't see how they are actually still in contact. I think if it's that bad, you think there's only a certain amount of time where they'll just think, fuck this, and won't speak to each other for 5 years or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting you say about the guy being uncomfortable. I mean, I felt that. I felt the cringe for him. He was just like, it's not our day. And I think had it been the other way around, Chris, then that would have looked completely different, I would say. Much more predatory. But yeah, I don't even know if it mattered who that best man was. I think she was just going to make a play for the best man and, like say, do her audition for next season's MAFS.
Well, Dave, has she got a little notebook like we talked about the other week with The Bachelor, the greatest scene ever?
The whole
but anyway,
strategy.
Yeah, the strategy. This is but I'm with you. As I say, I think it's the same thing. So I don't know. And as that week went on, Eliot and Lauren, more and more apart, he ended up disappearing, didn't he, literally halfway through the week. And it was just like, what could she do? She's asking him, do you want a coffee? She's asking, I mean, obviously they've got 2 cameras, haven't they? So there's a camera in the bedroom and she's downstairs. So there's a little bit of play there. That's not real, is it? I mean, I wouldn't be happy if like a fucking film crew just coming into my bedroom and filming when, if he was having a bit of a down day or whatever he was going through. Yeah. So it is all for the camera, but his demands were just so poor and just like, because John interviewed him and he kept going back to John, didn't he? And John's like, so you've got all these demands, it doesn't always work like that. Are you happy to compromise? Yeah, of course, John. Yeah, because he wants to go on the fucking show. He's not. And then as soon as he gets on the show, he's like, nah, this isn't for me. This isn't what I wanted. I didn't order Lauren. And it's like, wow. You know what I mean? It's just strange. And again, we set the week off again and the tone for it's going to be a disaster. And the guys just look like knobs. And as this week goes on, Dave, and I know we've saved one of the couples to last, there's a duty of care. And I don't know whether they give a fuck in Australia because we call the UK ones out for this, but it seemed to be like, we're not bothered. It's purely entertainment. They know what they've signed up for. We don't care if you're having some sort of mental breakdown or some sort of crisis. It looks good for TV. And I just felt like each couple, there's a couple that looked all right, but we always know that the ones we start vouching for saying really good, they end up being the worst of the lot. Like this week's been a bad week for a couple of them, but it could be anybody comes out of it looking really silly. So I'm not sure. I mean, it's week 1. We're well behind. We could be way off with a lot of these as the story's already been told for a lot of the couples and that. But I'm like, yeah, this is MAFS. This is just the Aussie MAFS all over.
Yeah. Okay. I think what pisses me off is the amount of times I'm sort of bored of it now where like, right, no, I'm leaving. I'm going. Well, go on then. Fuck off. But no, you're there because you're at the dinner party footage. So, and again, they do this to show a bit of the dinner party stuff, don't they? But yeah, they don't. They sort of spoil it themselves. I think I'd maybe be a little bit more invested if it's like, oh, maybe this time they will leave. Because that's what they've said they're going to do. They never do, Chris. Never. No. So yeah, Eliot just seems like fucking properly high maintenance tool, and like he's going to be up and down. And yeah, the thing is with these two, Lauren and Eliot, they're both in it for their popularity. I think you were alluding to a different couple where I think there is one person that I would say probably isn't in there for the social media, the clicks, this influencer lifestyle, but definitely these two, they're going to get a bit of drama out of the show, and that's what they're after. Oh,
100%. So the next one, Dave, Avwina and Adrian, twins, and he's got twin sisters as well. So that was quite interesting. She's got a 10-year-old lad, and then he's got a child, Danny Dave, 6-month-old child as well. And I think
so she has.
She has. He's not got a kid, has he? I missed something that he said. I thought he said it. Right. So she's. I mean, he did say, didn't he? They're having a conversation. I don't know whether I could love your son like my own. If it was, I don't know. It seemed to be a bit too far forward, that conversation. I know she probably needs that validation because she's got a son, and it's introducing her son, who's the most important person in her life, which I totally get, to Adrian. But they seem quite well. They seem to, there's a few couples this week, Dave, look like they checked the MOT thing on the old bed springs. So it looked like a few of them had consummated the marriage. These look quite good together. I felt his dialogue was a little bit sloppy in that conversation, but I could sort of understand what he was saying, but it didn't reassure her, did it? It sort of left her with more questions by the end of the week. But they look like a good couple. Plus, Dave, they were one of the only couples who didn't fucking know each other pretty much the way it was going. That was a load of bollocks we'll talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel let's pretend that the judges or the experts, as they're otherwise known by everyone else,
that's my
have a list of things, so that they can find out what people's preferences are and match them together with science, Chris. I would imagine. What do you think about kids? What if the other person has kids? What would your thoughts be on that? I would think that would be somewhere on page 1 or 2. I think it'd be quite high up there. And I think it's a common thing. We've seen it a few times on MAFS where because they don't know who the other person's going to be. It's really important to understand, well, what is their perspective going to be, knowing that I've already got children. We're going to potentially start this new life. Well, that's quite a big thing, isn't it? So I thought it was normal for her to agonize over a bit about it. I'm not sure if the producers threw her mum under the bus and said, make sure you get in your speech about the fact she is a mum. So I think she'd have preferred to say it herself, but I didn't like his kind of attitude to it. He would probably argue and say, well, I'm just being honest. Well, yeah, but you also don't have to be a dick about it as well. So I don't know. I feel like these two won't work for that. So I know he hasn't got kids because he kept saying about, he wants to do that, with someone special for the first time, so that's why, he doesn't really, it doesn't sit comfortably with him. Now, while they're on the honeymoon, I think he's happy to push that to the back of his mind, but I think this is going to be a big problem for them going forward.
Dave, why don't you become one of the experts? Because fucking John and that will just deny all knowledge, won't they, of even that common sense approach to it, like to the whole thing. Because that's right, what you've just said. You've hit the nail on the head. It's like, how is that going to work? And you can see with Arena, that she's been in these situations before. She was in a long-term relationship with the lad's dad. So she had 15 years. They've split up. But she's obviously had people just go, oh, you've got a kid, and then just completely dismissed. So I get it. And it was only at like the speeches point where she had to call it, she basically called a fucking timeout, like we were watching the NBA or something, or the NFL, but she had to call
15 seconds to go.
Just hang on, it's fourth down, right? Because come on, time, please. So she had to do it, but I could also understand why she didn't. But then it got to the point where you can't not bring that up. You have to tell, especially in a situation like this, because knowing fucking the experts, his main thing probably was, I don't want kids. So then they put him with a woman who's got a 10-year-old son. One of them, Dave, and he's like, oh, it's all about the science, my bollocks it is. But they didn't, and he does want a family. So yeah, I did feel for a little bit. And you're right, I just think he was really clumsy. And I must admit, I felt that I'm thinking, oh no, he's not a fuckboy, is he? He's not a blagger here, playing this whole family thing with his brother and that, but really they're just playing the field. I could be way off here, but it looked really sweet until that last episode.
I don't know, I get kind of fuckboy vibes from him, to be honest. I think, and she keeps going on about how hot he is, and I don't know, Chris, we can obviously recognize when someone is a very good looking man, and I don't quite get it with this guy. But obviously, she thinks he's really hot, so that's fine. But he definitely thinks he is as well. And both him and his brother are well groomed. I thought his brother came off a little bit better than he did, to be honest. Again, I leave the door open of uncertainty that maybe that was an editing thing. You never know, but I do feel like his brother seemed a bit more grounded. And if I became one of the experts, Chris, or one of the producers, it would be the most fucking boring MAFS season, because like the majority of people would probably be well matched and get on quite well, and no one would watch it. So so I do get why they have to, we say it all the time, don't we? There's the occasional couple, like the Ollie and Tani couple, that they throw in there just to give us that impression that, yeah, the science and everything, it works occasionally. But then there's other things where they just seem to intentionally throw these things in there just to create the drama, just to fuck with people. So, and I guess the way the producers look at it, it's like, well, they're getting, this lifestyle after this show. So, it's all fair. It's all game, So, I don't know. I think this is definitely the whole child thing. I think is probably deliberate.
Yeah, it's a storyline, isn't it? At the end of the day, there has to be some jeopardy. So, what about Dave, Sierra, and Billy? Billy's from the UK. Straight away, I was like, he's definitely got UK's mum's from the UK. They seem quite good, to be honest. Weren't they together? They were definitely having a bit of action there. Definitely. So
the sausage at the end.
Well, allegedly, but no, I don't know with them. I think they were good, and there was nothing too bad this week, and they were definitely one of the better of a bad bunch, without a doubt. There's something about him, Dave. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's the footboy. I don't know. There's something off, I felt, with this Billy. I don't know if it's the UK radar. Obviously the reality radar's back. It's never wrong. But there's something off about him at the moment. I felt by the end of the week, I wasn't sure. I felt like he was trying too hard on the camera.
I think to me, he came across okay. I think we're always just a bit guarded, aren't we? This first week, everyone's they're putting their best foot forward. They're like, I'm here for the right reasons, and this is, what I'm looking for. And they definitely look good together, don't they? And they seem to be getting on quite well, but let's give it a couple of weeks. I definitely think if you're to stack rank these, you'd put them in the top few couples, wouldn't you? If anyone's got any chance, then it's got to be this couple initially. And I know generally all of the baddies tend to have an English accent just in movies and stuff, but I think here, I don't know if that automatically makes him the baddie. But let's see, Chris.
That's true. It's true. So we got Ashley and Jake, Dave. Jake was bothered about his haircut. Not sure about that, but he was bothered. But they seemed okay. There was nothing, unless I've missed one. I didn't see anything at this point in the show that made me feel they wouldn't be happy or they wouldn't. But they're usually the couples where 3 weeks in, it's one of them's like, yeah, I'm not feeling it, mate. Like one of them. But there was nothing. They were probably the ones who just seemed to go under the radar. They're usually the ones who were there at the end as well. Yeah,
and I have to say, I was surprised he was a teacher. I've worked with plenty of people like Jake, to be honest. So in the IT industry, there's plenty of people who kind of look and act a little bit like Jake. But I think this couple is one of the Ollie and Tani type couples where they do seem to be quite well matched. They get on very well. She does her dance sort of teaching, doesn't she? And he's a teacher, so they're both obviously, wired in that particular way. They both seem to get on really well. They both seemed a bit goofy, a bit silly, a bit nerdy. And so, and definitely she was saying, wasn't she, tick, 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 tick for a lot of the boxes that she was looking to get ticked. So, yeah, I don't know. if I'm to predict, maybe in a couple of weeks, there is going to be something that's missing. I could imagine maybe him being a bit standoffish. Maybe Alessandra needs to come in and help this couple, with a melting hug or something. That'd be my prediction for these. But I think they'd get on quite well initially.
Yeah. And again, Dave, sort of best of a bad bunch. So, but you say about them being teachers, Dave, you'd think being a teacher, you'd have morals, you'd be able to speak about people in a correct way. Worried how you're going to, basically your image to your children that you're teaching, especially if you were in a TV show, Dave. So we'll just bookmark that for later. But there you go. Not all teachers are the same. But anyway, so we've got Jamie and Dave again. She wanted a big guy, big softy. She wanted someone who looked the part, tattooed up, but, was a softy at heart and going down the aisle. I mean, he spent a lot of time with Jamie talking and everything. She seems quite scatty, quite out there. But once you saw Dave, they seemed quite happy. And again, very touchy-feely on the honeymoon, very aware of each other, poking fun at each other. And at this point, again, I'm saying all this because I know people have watched it. They might be listening going, you two don't know what you're talking about. I'll wait till you get further in. But this seemed quite a good match. This actually seemed like there was a common ground, to start with. So I was sort of rooting for these off this first week.
I'm going to have to let people take a little bit of a peek behind the curtains, Chris, because I'm smiling because you've just laid it up there, I think, perfectly. I do think, he looks like a bit of he could be a bouncer, couldn't he? And you wouldn't want to mess with him, but he does seem like a big old softy, doesn't he? He seems quite genuine, and that's certainly how he comes across. But I love your notes, which are defo banged.
I meant the door, Dave. You don't need to shut the door.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Bang the table or something like that, maybe. I couldn't really concentrate on what you were saying. I was just laughing to myself.
That was in the reviews, Dave. That wasn't me.
But I would agree. I think but I think probably at least half the couples have been there, haven't they, in this first week.
Yeah. Now, don't read out the next couple's fucking write-up, Dave, because it could just take a fucking turn for the worse. Karina and Paul. You've not read that.
I'm just looking at it now. Oh, my God. So can I read it? Read it out?
Yeah, go on. So don't read it. Go on.
Karina and Paul at it like rabbits on the honeymoon. To be fair, there are other notes as well, but
thanks for that, Dave. Yeah, you're okay.
But they started off, didn't they, with that kind of weird almost theme, because there was the other couple who knew each other very well. That we'll get to, but these were the first ones where it's like, oh yeah, I know him, and you've got this whole backstory, and I'm thinking, Australia's a pretty fucking big place, isn't it? And I don't know, is it just because, when you're, are these people already influencers? I guess I should know that, but so they mix in the same circles. Like, what are the fucking chances? Like, of meeting the same person that you already know? It just seems a ridiculously small probability that would happen. But it's kind of one of those, isn't it? Look, are you here for, is this definitely not going to happen? And to be fair, it looked like it could create a problem, certainly for Karina. She felt ghosted, but I felt like he sort of explained himself okay. He just said, the point in my life that I was at, but shouldn't have done that. And so he spoke to her, spoke to the family and stuff. And I thought he handled that quite well, and certainly by the end of the week, it seemed to be going better.
Yeah. As per my notes. No, I'm with you. I honestly, that's me and Sam were watching it, and it was like, and obviously the other couple we talked about is Rhys and Jeff. Again, they'd had more of a relationship. I mean, Karina and Paul had gone hiking, hadn't they? And then all of a sudden he ghosted her. Exactly the same. All I kept thinking was, they're all part of the same talent agency pool, aren't they? Like Love Island, where they've got to go on these fake dates with them, and they end up sort of coming together because it's so incestuous, because nobody understands like what you've got to do to be an influencer and sustain this life. And that's why they've got this thing in common, Dave. It's almost like, you know, the experts should take a leaf out of Love Island maybe and look at them and go, well, if they're always together, there's a chance someone will get together. And that's what it feels like with Karina and Paul and Rhys and Jeff, because you're sort of like, exactly. What are the fucking... Australia is a huge place. And I know, obviously, like a lot of people live on the same, you know, the same two sides of Australia because it's so big and everything. But it's like, come on, there's millions of people there. The fact that Karina and Paul have been on a date, and this episode, the first week, we got at least 3 times where you had the producers talking to them off camera. And I was like, we've never done this before. Is this because we know that it's fake? They have lent into it in the UK one regarding the influencer lifestyle. In Love Island recently, we've had the showman's word mentioned a lot, haven't we? You know, so it's like Marcella was the first one to mention it in this series about him and Gabby when he cheated on her, and then it carried on from there, didn't it? Like, and even MAFS, we've just watched the reunion, so we had Nathan and Lacey, and he got the text off her saying, let's just showmance it, sort of thing, and she denied it, obviously, as we know. But I've never seen that properly with MAFS, and it was very bizarre. Also having people behind the camera talk to them and hearing the voices, you know, verbalizing it. That was interesting. We do get it now and again, but there was a few things they've tried this week, and I just didn't like the way they were trying to break the fourth wall down. It's okay doing that because we've said this loads of times, make it feel real, but it felt even more fake to me. The whole Paul and Karina thing, what, like you say, they should have put the fucking lottery numbers on when this was on to have the same person on the same show. But I am totally with you. By the end of it, I was like, these are all just wannabes who've either tried to audition in the past, they've been to these things, like you say, are the influencers. They're obviously mixing in that same fucking gutter fucking of Z-list celebrities that they're trying to be, fucking no marks. And that's what's happened, because I just didn't get them two couples at all. It felt so fake to me more than ever, I think.
Yeah, I do think we've seen it before where the producers have had the conversation, but it's been used sparingly, and quite often it's like a camera somewhere else. And what was it last season? I'm sure it was last MAFS season where they caught a conversation that wasn't supposedly, you know, they weren't rolling the film, but they were rolling the film, if you like. So they caught like an off-script conversation. I can't remember who that was, but it does seem in this season they're leaning into it more. They're showing more of the behind the scenes stuff. And I agree. It's kind of, we know it's there, but by showing more of it, it's sort of, it's harder to suspend the disbelief, I think. You know, by seeing the people behind the camera, in front of the camera, having these conversations, it does. I mean, that one with Karina did go on for quite a while, didn't it? You know, and again, I think with the editing, they didn't need to necessarily show quite as much of that conversation, but it's obviously a choice, isn't it, that they are kind of leaning into it, maybe trying a few different things and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, and yeah, it just seemed very strange, and we'll see how that plays out, because Karina and Paul were definitely going for it. They on the honeymoon. They looked really compatible. They were loving the holiday. Rhys and Jeff, you know, obviously they knew people. She knew his friends by name. It was all like, yeah, we know it wasn't. They've had a relationship. So, however, Dave, I will let you read out my notes for the last couple, who I've purposely left for last, Dave. So who is the last couple? And you can read it word for word, if you like, what I've put about this couple.
Oh, fucking hell.
Well, you can... let
me paraphrase a little bit. So Katie and Tim are not see you next Tuesday, let's say. Primary school teacher dresses like he's been in a boy band in Benidorm, bell end of the week. Now, I've got to agree with you, Chris. I mean, you're saying a boy band. I mean, maybe a boy band in the 80s or something. I don't know. I look at him and I think like he's a pub landlord or something. And maybe, I don't know, maybe when he was in his teens, he was quite tall and he was quite slim, but then has been, out on the beer basically every night for the last fucking 25 years. I don't know. He definitely has an opinion of himself that doesn't translate to our opinion watching him. I think he seems to think he's Brad Pitt or something. And I'll be honest, this is where you mentioned actually about the duty of care of the show. I know that we're looking at it and we're going, Tim, is an absolute bellend and he's misbehaving. But the show have deliberately teed this up as well. And, they are leaning into it quite heavily. And all of her deepest insecurities and everything, they're just putting it front and center so that, for our entertainment. And with this one, it's been quite uncomfortable this week, hasn't it? The way it's evolved, and she's going through a horrid time. And I don't know. Let's see how long they last, but I just don't see this going anywhere.
No, and he is an absolute fucking bellend, this guy. And you say he thinks he's fucking Brad Pitt. I know Dave, like, I've talked about this before, body issues, everything. I don't like singling people out, but the way he treated Katie this week was disgusting. And, I just kept thinking as the week went on, one point he's got his cap back to front. So I'm then thinking David Brent when he does at the UK office, Ricky Gervais, when he goes to do the motivational speech, he's got the cap on. Yeah. He's got a fucking black jeans with the fucking knees cut like he's fucking Luke Goss or something. You know what I mean? From the 80s. Maybe that's where we're getting him. Maybe he was a Bros fan fucking when he was younger. But
he's got some Grolsch bottle tops on his shoes.
Bottle tops, yeah. But as it went on, I just kept thinking, like, you're delusional. He's a teacher, which is disgusting anyway. For the children watching, and he's a PE fucking teacher. And all I kept thinking was, you, my friend, could actually go out as a lookalike. And all I kept thinking was fucking Peter Griffin, Dave. I know I shouldn't, but it's like, he thinks he is shallow fucking Hal, isn't he? That's exactly who he is. He thinks that he is absolutely the most stunning guy. He started describing his like fucking ultimate woman. And I'm like, listen, mate, Megan Fox is going nowhere near you, Timmy boy. You look like some fucking deadbeat. And he's there like a sulking little kid on the bed. And she's asking him genuine things. She seems like such a nice person. And you're right. The duty of care, again, is a disgrace. And when we watched it with Sam, I said, you know what's really annoying about watching what he's doing to her? That the fucking experts won't see this yet again, because they'll only see the dinner party and then make the judgment from that. Even though Katie will bring it to the table, they are not going to see what an absolute prick this guy is. He's horrible. He's by far one of the worst contestants I've seen on MAFS. Yes, there's a point where it's the entertainment because he looked like a dick. He's so fucking delusional. But I just kept feeling for her, thinking, yeah, we like to take the mick. We like to call his like fucking Eliot, the first couple there, Eliot, absolute dick, but he wasn't horrendous to her. He wasn't disrespectful. He was just a knob who has complete delusions of grandeur. This guy is horrible. And then he was even gaslighting her by saying it was her fucking fault. I don't want to actually, I don't want to sort of call her anything. And I'm like, mate, you've sat there with ripped fucking jeans on your knees like you're about fucking 12. You're about 40 with your cap on, like dressing like you fucking he just looked like a dick, Dave. He looked like somebody who goes to a fancy dress party and they've said, come like someone from the 80s, and he's come as fucking Marky Mark, but Marky Mark when he fucking turned into working fucking Peter Griffin. Absolutely.
Hard times.
Fucking ridiculous, yeah. It's unbelievable, honestly, isn't it? Like, what a dick.
Yeah, it is an absolute tool, to be fair. I'm just looking. Says here 52, is that right? I'm not sure it's the right person.
It's 52? That can't be.
No, yeah. I think it's Google. It kind of... hold on, no, 38. Tim Grommy.
That's probably about 38. Right.
Yeah. Look, that seems, primary school teacher from Victoria. Yeah, I mean, I don't. He just he seems like a terrible person. I mean, do you remember Olivia? Wasn't she a teacher as well or something?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
what the
bizarre,
fuck
isn't
is it with the education system in Australia? They just seem to have the worst people who are teachers. But I don't know where this season's going to go. But I would be, well, I wouldn't be massively surprised if he's not a teacher anymore. I just think the way he's come across is horrible. And like you said, you know, it's the behaviour of him. He really does act like a selfish teenager. You know, and like you say, the jeans. Did I tell you? I fucking bought some ripped jeans.
Sorry, I got to go on. Yeah.
I don't know why. You know, the thing is, you just go a bit mental with the online shopping. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks all right. I'll get that, stick that in the shopping basket. Yes, put that, and that. So I don't even really remember buying them. And I got them. This black pair of like ripped jeans and stuff. I put them on, and I just thought, you fucking bellend. You're a fucking middle-aged bloke. You look ridiculous. So I haven't thrown them out, to be fair, Chris, but they are sat there. Literally the only time I put them on is to try them on, and then I just wanted to fucking give myself a slap. So yeah,
well, I can go.
Go on.
I think we may have bought the same pair of fucking jeans because around about the same time, I got a pair of jeans. So I always do this. I always end up with either loads of pairs of jeans, or I'm like, I need jeans now. You know, like you're wearing this. I got 2 or 3 pairs of jeans, and like you've got a nice going out pair of fucking, you know, whatever. And I got these jeans, same thing, and they were on offer in River Island. And I was like, oh, I like these. Yeah, they're fucking 20 quid reduced them, 40, no problem. And I must admit, I didn't fucking look, Dave. I just look at the length because I'm taller. I always wear 34 length. So I had 34 waist, 34 length. And I thought, yeah, they're black. They've got a little bit of a off color into them, you know, like, but just enough to go, oh yeah, they look a bit stylish then. They're slim. They're not skinny jeans, Dave. I wasn't going that far. And I put them on, and they had fucking rips in the knees, but then rips down where the thigh is. Not like fucking he had on Tim, but enough to put them on and go, actually, these look all right with a pair of like high tops or Air Force Ones. And then Jordan walks in and went, Dad, and Jordan doesn't swear. She doesn't swear. She went, Dad, what the hell are you doing? Are you having a midlife crisis? And that was it, Dave. They went in the charity shop, straight to the charity fucking bag with the clothes within about a week with the tags on. Someone's got a brand new pair of River Island thing. I honestly believed they looked cool. And then she was like, and I'm like, yeah, I think you're right there. And again, I had that realization of like, I'm in my fucking prime, but like, yeah, but not your prime from 1990s, Chris, when you could have got away with this. It's 2024. So I think maybe me and you had the same thing maybe the same offer popped up on our computer day through the podcast, you know, like come up on Facebook or something. But yeah, there's that point of going, I'm 46 years old. These are not for me. So yeah, they did get swiftly taken to the charity shops. Hopefully somebody, maybe Tim's got my jeans on, Dave, and he's cut the fucking knees off. I don't know. He is younger than me, but anyway, that's brilliant.
Yeah, but I don't know where this couple goes, Chris. I think certainly he's going to stick around. But we saw this. Was it what was the guy in the UK season? Was that Tim as well? The guy with the turkey teeth. The one who was he was at the reunion. He was coupled up with Polly.
Oh no, that was the hairdresser, wasn't it?
Yeah.
God, what's his bloody name? Yeah, he's a bellend anyway, Dave. I know what you mean. The hairdresser, yeah. And his bloody name, not Tim,
Adam.
Not
Adam.
Adam, that's it. Yeah, I should know. There's one of my brothers. He's called Adam, but yeah, Adam. Yeah. Funny enough, he's a bellend, but no, he's. But there you go. But no, again, delusional one with Polly. Like, just like, this isn't what I ordered. I ordered, like you say, a Megan Fox, Dave, or what's she got, Margot Robbie. Yeah, fucking, you know what I mean? It's sort of like, yeah, I want to win the lottery, mate, but it's not going to fucking happen. Like, no.
I'm okay with I have a type and a preference. I'm okay with, putting that out there. But the reason I thought to Adam, I have to forget his actual name, is he came out with the same kind of thing that Tim is coming out with, is my usual type is. And I'm like, fuck off. There's no fucking way. So he described, usual type is petite, blonde. But then apparently he goes, or brunette. Basically, just or purple, a bit of a blue rinse thing, grey. All of that's fine, just not red. But then he even sticks the boot in more, doesn't he? Because he says, you keep saying it's about the physical attraction, but it's not just that. So he's sort of saying there, yeah, it's not just that I don't fancy you, I don't really like you either. So I don't know if that's what he's intentionally trying to get across there, but I think, just sticking the boot in more and more and just behaving like a child who's not acting his age. So yeah, definitely he's the worst one and definitely deserving of Bell End of the Week.
No, and again, Dave, that is the only bugbearer for me. The rest of it, I can go with entertainment and we'll call the experts out, everything else. But that was just very uncomfortable. She didn't deserve that at all. So that's the one thing where they have to be able to see what the behavior is of the couples or a snippet, something. Yeah. Not just the dinner party where that Katie will be confiding in some of the other girls, explain Tim's going to be blaming it on Katie. Because we've had it before where the experts have backed like the person and it's usually the guy who's gaslighting the lady. And it's like, but you've not watched the fucking show. You've not watched what's been going on. We can see that as the audience. And I think that is so frustrating because John won't stand any messing and he will go for him if they think. But I just think that if John saw this, he would absolutely nail Tim to the cross, and quite rightly as well. Terrible character. So, but, we're going to week 2, Dave. It gives us a great talking point and a great starting point for the series. But hopefully Katie gets the hell out of there because he's a dick.
Yeah, but I mean, definitely uncomfortable. Definitely, it gets into the arena of just not really being entertaining. You don't mind it when you've got these people who are clearly there for themselves, quite self-centered and, bunch of narcissists. But she seems more that she is actually trying this thing. I'm afraid she has drunk the Kool-Aid. She's saying, I'm trying this out. I've tried all these other things. And I'm like, oh, mate, just why would you do that to yourself? But Chris, I think we're probably going to have a commitment ceremony coming up. We might have some more weddings. We might meet some more couples next week. But I'm sure it's going to be the first dinner party. And I can't fucking wait.
I know, that's the bad thing, isn't it? We're calling all this, but we're tuning in and texting each other all night going, Dave, what do you think of that? So yeah, brilliant, mate, brilliant. So anything else before we go?
No, I think we've covered everything there. I think all the couples, like I say, you've got a smattering of couples that have got something that resembles a fighting chance, and then you got the other couples where it's just going to be strap in and watch the drama.
That's the one. So thank you so much, man. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I know we're a few weeks behind, but we're just going to go with the UK timeline. So I hope if you have been waiting, it was worth it. If anything you agree or disagree with, then please email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on social media, @cdrealitycast, please go over to Facebook, Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. Come and join us over there. Big thanks to Charlene, as always, for moderating for us. And there is episode links on there if you are outside the UK, if you're not watching it on E4. So thank you for all your support. And if you do want to support us a little bit more, please go over to patreon.com/CD Realitycast. Big thank you to Anna, Tilly, Marcy, Stacey, Sinead, Kathleen Sims, Nick, Danielle, Kim, Amanda, Larissa, Helen, Nicola, Gillian, Keith, Helen, Chloe, Joanna, Libby, Susan, Lauren, Lucky Luda Green, and Kent Gustafson. So thank you so much, guys. Amazing support for myself and Dave. We really appreciate it. So we're off, we're back, and I can't wait for next week now, mate.
It's amazing. It is always so great to chat when we've watched a bit of MAFS. It's just an extra secret sauce with it, isn't there? It's just love getting stuck into these bell ends. But thank you very much, sir. Thanks to all our listeners out there. Thanks to all our supporters, and we'll speak to you next time.
Bye.